my services, you think it's just like pretty straightforward. You go and walk dogs. No, I'm a part of people's families. That's another piece of this puzzle is like I build these relationships with these animals and eventually everyone has a lifespan. And that part really sucks. And it's really hard because, it's like they're like my child and, whatever they're going through, like I'm also like a part-time parent to them going through this with them as well.
All right, welcome back to Talk of the Town. Today we got a special episode. We're joined by Audrey from Audrey's Pet Services.
Hello.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me, guys.
This is awesome. So you are in the pet services business.
I sure am.
How'd you get started in that whole world and why pets?
Yeah, so I lived in New York in 2018 and I worked a 9-to-5 job and I wanted to have a little something else in my day-to-day. So what I did is I actually was working for a company called Canine Cardio. And what we did was in the beginning of the days, we would start off super early and go to Central Park and walk doggies for people who lived on the park. And it was awesome. It was the highlight of my day, and I absolutely loved it. So from there, I kind of, COVID hit and the world flipped upside down, and I decided to come back to this area. I took a couple odd and end jobs, but I was like remembering how much fun I had with these dogs back in New York. And I was like, I still want that. I crave that. I didn't really have the space to have my own pets. So I was like, why not take care of everyone else's? So I loved the concept and I just couldn't get enough of pets in general. So I was like, I just want to meet all of them and take care of all of them. So I started my own thing about a year and a half ago. And so far, so good. I absolutely love it.
That's
sweet. How do you build a book like in that industry?
So it's a little bit of everything. So it's a little bit social media, as I'm sure you guys know. Social media kind of helps market everything.
Sure.
And then there's also, word of mouth. So obviously if I'm, professional, doing a good job, making sure I'm putting my best foot forward, then the word will travel pretty quickly because everyone always wants to be able to trust someone to take care of their pets. I always say I'm in childcare, so it's definitely something that you need to trust someone that's going to be coming into your house and taking care of your animals. So, yeah.
Let's talk about something that drives me crazy, buying tickets online and getting hit with all of those surprise fees at checkout. That's why I'm super excited to tell you about Eagle Eye Ticket Management. These folks just get it. The price you see is the price you pay. No more hidden fees, no surprises, no nonsense, just straightforward ticket prices that actually make sense. And here's something special for our Talk of the Town listeners. Mention the podcast and get 10% off your purchase. That's Eagle Eye Ticket Management, where what you see is what you get.
What exactly are the services you offer? Like, is there a variety? Is it one? Talk us through that.
Yeah. So I offer everything from walks to like drop-in visits to like vacation sitting. I do overnights in people's homes. And then I'll also do like transportation. We'll do like field trips to different parks. I can take your pet to the vet, kind of everything in between. So,
shoot.
Yeah.
That's needed.
Could have used that this morning.
I know. Well, and it's something that, not everyone can be at home all the time for their pets. So that's where we come in. You can contact us at any point and say, hey, we need you to like stop in and let our dog out or, feed our cat or, I'm actually taking care of chickens right now. So we do everything.
So it's, you do all pets. It's not just
Yeah,
dogs
I haven't
cats.
been asked for anything but dogs, cats, and chickens as of right now. I'm a little, sometimes I'm a little hesitant. If you ask me to watch your tarantula, I'll probably say no. But other than that, we're pretty open to most animals.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Have you had any other animals yourself? Do you have a dog, and do you have any, or have had any other animals?
Yeah, so I grew up with pets. I grew up with a dog and several cats, always. And, right now I have a cat. If I had a dog, I probably wouldn't be able to do what I do now just because of like time and energy, and I'm constantly going. I pretty much live out of my car. So, so it would be hard to give a dog the best life, but cats are a little bit more low maintenance. So it's a little bit easier to just like have her living her best life at my house while I'm, on the go.
Sure. And do you service just this area, like where your services expand to?
Yeah, so ideally, I like to stay in Westchester just because I have regular clients Monday through Friday. And if I'm going to be servicing regular clients in Westchester, it's kind of hard to go too far. But I like to stay in Westchester and surrounding areas. So I have clients, on the main line in Kennett. We expand out to Exton, down 202 not towards Wilmington, quite that far, but we go as far as we possibly can, and we try to fit in everyone that we can. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
Yeah.
So what's typically like your daily routine? Are you walking these animals or checking in on them
Yeah.
daily?
Yeah.
How's it
So
work?
what I love is every day is different. We will be on daily walks Monday through Friday, midday, because most of my clients have 9 to 5 and they're just out of the house. So our job is to like go in and, give the dog a break and let them go outside. Sometimes, I'll take them to the park or whatever they need just to have them, be able to get outside while their parent is working. And then, so we have our midday walks, usually between like 11 and 2. And then usually, because every day is different, every week's different, it depends on what time of year it is, who's going away for vacation. We'll do drop-ins when people are away. So we'll do either morning drop-ins, evening drop-ins, in between. Sometimes we're on overnight gigs that want us there as much as possible because we deal with a lot of like anxious pets who really have like separation anxiety when their parent is gone. So we're kind of all over the place. Every day is different. It could be really anything, but we are just with as many animals as possible every day.
Got it. So going off that, you probably have some funny and wild stories. Are there any like funny pet stories you want to share?
Oh yeah. Well, funny pet stories. So I work with 2 Goldens every single week, and they are just characters. Like if I'm having a bad day, if I wake up on the wrong side of the bed, no matter what, I will be laughing because so one of the dogs' name is Captain. Captain is a psycho. He's amazing. He has such high energy. He's about 1.5 years. So he has like still that puppy energy. And he's just like going. He gets himself into so many different things. And like, you never know what it's going to be. And he's just kind of like a wild card. So I'm constantly laughing with him.
Oh, that's great.
How old is the other one?
So the other one's name is Cooper. Cooper is about like 5 or 6. So
Gotcha. So older brother.
yeah, exactly. And they're two boys. So the way that they interact with each other, and the way Captain interacts with pretty much any dog that comes his way is just like hilarious.
Yeah. So Audrey, obviously you're going into people's homes and obviously it's not your house, it's a stranger's essentially.
Right.
Have you run into any situations where there was someone there that shouldn't have been there, or you were cautious to go into the house or scared? Obviously,
Yes.
you're a woman.
Yes.
It's a little scary.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's definitely times where we need to, put our best foot forward and make sure that we are making decisions like based on what would the owner want us to do while we're there if something were to happen. So, yeah, there was definitely a situation one time where I was on a walk and the garage door was open and I was right there, in the vicinity, which is like what I usually do every single time. And I went to go back in with the dog and there was a man standing inside the house. And
Oh, wow.
I was completely taken back because usually the client will say, hey, I have someone coming and doing work on the house, or, there's, the people are going to be cutting the lawn or whatever it may be. There's going to be someone there working on
Family
something.
member.
Yeah,
something home.
yeah, exactly. Like they always kind of give me a heads up, but this time I was not informed that there was going to be someone there. So I was caught off guard, and immediately I'm, trying to do my due diligence. Like, hi, who are you here for? The person could not tell me or remember who they were there for, what the client's name was. So immediately, like, I sprung into action and I wanted to make sure that, she was informed of that there was a person in her house that didn't even know her name. So I just like immediately called her. Hi, I know you're at work. I'm so sorry to bother you, but I just want to let you know that there is a man downstairs working on your hot water heater.
Oh my goodness.
And he didn't tell me what company he was from. He did not tell me the client's name. There was a lot of red flags that just kind of like scared me a bit. So immediately, you know, she left work, she came home, she definitely made it known that she was unhappy and uncomfortable, and she apologized so much to me. She was like, I'm so sorry, you probably must have been really scared, and I just hope that you know that I would never put you in this situation. Like, this was not intentional. I was not informed that he was going to be coming to my house. So she really had no idea. She put in a service call, but she wasn't said, like, no one said, hey, we're going to have someone come out today at this time. Someone just came, and that was that. So she was like, I'm on my way home, you know, please feel free to, like, you know, keep yourself safe, like, whatever you need to do. So I just like hunkered down and I stayed upstairs. He was downstairs. He ended up leaving, getting in his van, because I guess his manager called him and was like, hey, you know, there's a problem, like, leave the house. So he got in his van and left. So the whole situation just looked very sketchy. But I think that I, you know, put my best foot forward to make the right decision to really protect her home and protect her dogs and make sure that, you know, random people aren't just hanging out in someone's home, you know, without the owner actually knowing.
Yeah, that is scary.
Yeah.
Super scary.
Definitely.
Oh my gosh.
On all ends, like your end, I'm sure her end getting that call.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
She was like, what's going on? Who's in my house? Like, what's going on? So now going forward from that situation, every time I'm on a meet and greet, I always ask, do you have anyone that's coming to work on your house? Do you have anyone that's going to be working on the outside of your house? Is there going to be cars in the driveway? Are any of your family, like, you know, just give me a heads up if there's going to be anyone but myself coming in and taking care of your animals. Just because, you know, being someone, being a female, being really just anyone in general, if there's a random person in someone's home, it's, you know, not something that we're expecting.
Yeah, that's not what you signed up for when
No,
you started walking
no.
dogs, right?
Yeah,
No way.
No,
Oh, my
I'm not
goodness.
looking to, you know, fight or defend in that sense, but, you know, I'm going to pretend that it's my own home and, you know, handle it as if I were the owner of the house and, you know, handle it as best as I possibly can while remaining professional and, you know, just also letting the client in on exactly like what's happening at their home, because I think that transparency is super important and making sure that that communication is there, because God forbid I would have been like, okay, well, that's weird. I'm scared. I'm leaving. You know, I'm leaving her dogs in harm's way potentially. I'm leaving her home in harm's way potentially. So, you know, I definitely want to make sure that I'm protecting the client's homes and the client and the animals as best as I possibly can.
Yeah, it's a really difficult situation at the end of the day. Like, it could be handled so many different ways. And
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
sure some
Oh,
people
yeah.
would have gone different
Yeah.
routes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's just, I mean, the possibilities are endless and you really can't trust everyone. So, you know, I think it comes down to communication and being able to trust your dog walker and trust who's coming in and out of your home and have that communication and transparency.
That's something I didn't even really think about when you're having a dog walker come over.
Yeah.
You know, you're just like, oh, I got to schedule this, and
Right.
you don't think about who's coming in the house or what they could be walking into,
Right.
what the situation may be,
Mhm.
how are they going to get in.
Yep, exactly. Yeah,
yeah.
there's a lot more ins and outs to this business that people don't really quite think about. You know, there's always scenarios. Like, I go on meet and greets every single time, all the time to new random people's homes, and it's just, you know, myself and my employee, and, you know, we're just kind of going in blindly, and, you know, we do our like due diligence and, you know, kind of like look people up and make sure that we're going to an actual person's home and, you know, so on and so forth. But, it's definitely something that we need to protect ourselves and, you know, put our best foot forward.
When you have dogs or pets that have those problems, like overnight,
Yes.
they're having issues
Mhm.
or whatever, you need to be by their side.
Yep.
Like, how do you help them? And
Yeah.
What are the typical problems that you
Yeah.
see?
So right now I have a client. It's actually like a dachshund, and her name is Bailey. She has major separation anxiety. So her mom goes away for work trips sometimes. And so she would like me to be with her dog as much as possible. I'm actually on an overnight gig with her this week. And, I try to be there as much as possible. I try to go and stick to her same routines and make sure that, nothing's out of whack. She's going on the same timed walks. She's eating her breakfast and dinner at the same exact time. She's getting all her medications. Just really sticking to their routines as if their mom has never left is super helpful for the dog.
Okay, that makes sense. And how do you build rapport and like trust with somebody before they I guess hire you?
Yeah. So I always schedule meet and greets.
Okay.
So I actually have an employee. Her name is Mel. So Mel and I, depending on the needs of the business, will kind of just figure out if Mel's going to be helping me on a job, we'll both go on the go see and have a meet and greet so that they can meet us face to face and make sure that they are building trust and know that we're well equipped and have the experience to take care of their pets. And on that meet and greet, we go through all the details of what's necessary, of like how much to feed them, what's their typical schedule, where do you keep the leashes, how do you use your harnesses, what kind of water do you give them, what kind of medications are you giving them. We kind of just I literally have a list in my phone that I go through of all the questions of what I should be asking to make sure that we're putting our best foot forward and really making sure that we're doing exactly what they want us to do. So, yeah.
I guess every case is probably a little bit different. Are some people hey, you could just come in and do whatever, just take them for a walk, and then some people are extreme, have the whole entire.
Oh yeah, everyone's different. We work with so many different clients that, we're very nimble. There's people who are booking us all the way out to November, and there's people that are hitting me up right now saying, hey, can you come tomorrow? Or hey, can you come next week? I need you on Saturday. We're going to the beach, whatever it may be. So we really have to be super flexible with our schedule, with our time. Every client's different, as you guys know, every human is different. So everyone's going to manage their communication differently. So we just have to remain nimble, and that's just how we run the business.
Yeah,
for sure. And what advice would you give to pet owners on trying to find the right fit for them? If they're not able to be there, what should they be looking for in a caretaker for their pet?
I think that, I always come with references. So I think it's good to not only have me speak to them face to face, but also have the references. I post the references on my social media as well. So everyone can kind of go and see anything that they need to see and read up on me and see that everyone's saying I'm reliable, I'm professional, I show up on time. Their pet doesn't look forward to them coming home because they love me so much at the end. And, it's those types of things. And, as someone who's coming into their home for the first time, how their dog interacts with me, how I interact with their dog, that's super important to just take note of, to just make sure that I'm not doing anything, quickly, aggressively. I'm, kind of reading the room and reading their pace of how I should be handling them.
Totally. Do you have any favorite dog breeds?
That's a really hard question.
Yeah, I bet.
So I was talking to the owners of the Golden, and both the Goldens, and they were asking me, do you have a favorite? Which one's your favorite? I'm I don't think I can pick a favorite. I mean, it's really hard. They're all my children. They're my part-time children. But if I had to say my favorite breed, I'm intrigued by border collies. I don't have one that I work with, but there's one that walks around town all the time that I have to say hi to every single time because I just think she's so beautiful, and they're so smart, and they're just very cool dogs. I just would love to work with one day.
Yeah. No,
those are pretty cool.
Do you have any advice for new pet owners or people that are thinking about getting a dog or cat or something that they need help?
Absolutely. I think that people make very quick decisions in getting a new pet. They don't take it super seriously because they don't know what it all entails. I'm hired so frequently and so often for help with so many different animals that, I don't think people really put it together that it's a job. It's a it's something that's going to take a lot of your time, a lot of your energy, a lot of like, planning, and you can't just like up and leave. You can't just up and go to work. You can't just up and take a trip. It's something that you really need to take into consideration of how much care your animal actually needs to make sure that they have a really good life.
Yeah, no doubt.
True. With I know you mentioned like after COVID you moved back here.
Yeah.
And then have you seen like a lot of people, I feel like a lot of people got animals or pets during COVID,
Mm-hmm.
and now the transitions, like maybe they're going back to work,
Yep.
or like their lifestyles changed. What have you seen with that, like trend wise?
That's a great
and
question.
how has that kind of like affected your business?
Yeah, absolutely. So some of my clients call their dogs COVID dogs.
Oh wow.
So that's why that's definitely a good question. So they say that because their dog is like extra anxious or just a little bit off with the separation anxiety and stuff like that, because they're used to their owners being home all the time with them, and then all of a sudden they have a job and have to go to work every single day. So that transition is definitely really challenging, and that's another reason why someone like me is hired, to make sure that they're not off-put so much that their owner is going to be gone for a long time.
Yeah, that's so true. I can only imagine.
Yeah.
I
sure.
luckily got my dog before COVID. So
Yeah.
It was good to change. We were home, it wasn't so much of a switch up, but I feel like, if we got our pup during COVID, like,
yeah, it's a drastic shift
just
because they're
our
used to
lifestyle
you.
changed
Yeah,
so
they're
much.
used to you being home all the time. They're used to you being regular with their walks, being able to take them out in the middle of the day, being able to, be there for all their meals and stuff like that. And now everybody's like, oh my gosh, who's going to feed my pet? I'm going to be at work until late, or I'm sitting in traffic, or, whatever it may be. It's something definitely to keep in mind.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Totally. I got my dog like a year ago, I guess, at this point. She's a Cocker Spaniel. She
Okay.
just turned a year old, so I guess a little less than a year. Mm-hmm. She's crazy, but it's like puppy energy, right? When you're, taking care of people's pets and dogs, what are some like the most common behavioral problems you see?
I would say anxiety. They're they're very sensitive to change, especially when they're used to a very like set schedule. Kind of like us, change is hard for everybody, including dogs. So if you if you're with your dog all the time and then all of a sudden you're not there, the anxiety will build. Like, where's my owner? What's going on? I'm alone. There's definitely different behaviors of dogs that are, like the other day I was with a client on a meet and greet, and they said, all of a sudden, like when I'm away, my dog goes and opens all the doors in the house. And when we get home, we get to see which doors they open. I'm like, I've never heard of dogs opening doors. This is so interesting. But yeah, no, they'll do like different behaviors where they sleep, or like some dogs won't eat when their parents are gone. Because they're anxious and because something's different, something's off. So they're just, feeling that anxiety. Separation anxiety, just anxiety in general. There's a lot of dogs that are on like medication just to like keep them calm when there's change happening with their family and stuff like that. So I would say definitely anxiety.
When the owners or whoever the pets owners are away and you're like taking care of them, is there like certain things that you do to like help calm them down or help like with some of these issues that they might be having?
Lots of love,
Yeah.
Lots of pets, lots of cuddles, lots of, just like getting on their level and, giving them pets and just like trying to like talk to them and calm them down. I always say that I speak dog. So I can always like read the room and read how they're feeling and kind of just like get to their level and kind of try my best to like talk them off a ledge and make sure that they're going to be okay.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
I feel like there's like it's like a sixth sense, like some people have like that.
Yeah, extra
dog.
treats, extra love. I mean, if your dog isn't obese, then extra treats, extra love. But yeah, no, I do have a bit of an obese dog that I deal with on a regular basis. So I'm always trying to make sure that we're not doing any treats and we're trying to get as much exercise as possible because, the health of dogs is important to me and I want to make sure that everybody is, doing okay.
For sure. And like from the business standpoint, how has that been? Like you said, 1.5 years now you've been doing this on your own. Like, what are some of the biggest lessons you've learned on the business side?
I mean, being a business owner, you wear many hats. It's crazy to me. Like I'm not the biggest social media person in general, but I know that I need to be on social media to put my best foot forward. So sitting there and creating reels takes so long, and I'm like, I'm busy all the time. I'm constantly like on the go, and I always am posting live updates of people's animals because I have a lot of following. A lot of my clients follow my page. So I'm always trying to make sure that I'm putting like live feeds up there so that people can see my dog's healthy, my dog's well, he just had his walk, he's doing a good, like he's having fun, or, he's extra hot today, or, needs extra water, or whatever it is. I like to have that transparency out there. So for me to be constantly on social media and updating and posting and sending everything out there, it's a lot of work, but I mean, I love it. So I love what I do no matter what. So it doesn't really feel like work. It feels like I'm putting my best foot forward for these animals.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. And you mentioned now you have one employee too, right?
Yes, I do.
How's that been? How was the first time hiring process?
I know. I've been asked this before.
What were your thoughts?
It was, so thankfully it's like a family friend, someone that our family knew. And so that was really helpful to be able to already just have that like baseline, to be able to trust. And she actually has a dog and 3 cats of her own.
Oh, nice.
So, and I've actually watched her pets before. So we already had that rapport, and it was like kind of, something that you just have to relinquish. And, which is hard as a business owner because you want to put your best foot forward, and whoever you work with represents you and your business. So, because I take it very seriously, I want to make sure that everyone else is. And I think there was a training process of come with me, see how I operate, see how I do things, and then we can, as a team, kind of like keep that standard. We're not ripping through neighborhoods. We're not blasting our music. We're making sure that we're very careful and gentle with each animal. And I kind of did that walkthrough just to make her as comfortable as possible. But yeah, I mean, she's a mom, and she has animals of her own. So if you can care for children, let alone your own animals, I feel pretty comfortable. So she does a great job. She literally has changed this so much for me and allowed me to be able to breathe and not have to be in 20 different places all at once. So it is extremely helpful having her.
Yeah, that's awesome. Is it? You mentioned being 20 places at once. How do you essentially map it out?
I know.
Because you have, and everyone I feel like has to probably be walked in a certain window.
Yes.
There's
it's so
your typical lunch walk, right?
Yeah.
And then probably before dinner or after dinner. How do you manage all the places that you have to be?
Everyone wants a lunch walk, which is really challenging, but of course, I always get their addresses first so that I know where everyone is located. And of course, I have a whole system that I have of everyone's addresses just to keep everything organized as much as possible, which is crucial to be able to do what I do. So what I'll do is I'll ask, hey, because they'll say, can you come between 11 and 12? And I'm like, well, everybody wants between 11 and 12. Are you flexible? Can I come, earlier than 11? Can I come after 2? How flexible are you? And then I kind of gauge that. And then from there, I'll decide, if I can do it or not. Because there's definitely times where I'm like, unfortunately, I'm booked out and I can't. But next week I can, or a month from now I can. I try to keep it open and keep that flexibility so that the client knows that they can come back to me. I try to be, again, as nimble as possible, but, there's only so much I can do and so many places I can be.
Literally, yeah.
Yeah. What does a day in the life look like for you?
So wake up, I hit the gym Monday through Friday every single week, always. And then after that, I mean, I have to stay fit. I have to manage dogs of all sizes constantly. So I have to definitely make sure that I'm keeping up on my fitness. So that's important for me. So then my first walk is at 11. And I take Winston to the park because he has PTSD from walking in his neighborhood and getting attacked.
Oh my gosh.
And so Winston's great. I've been with him for about a year at this point. So I walk him first, and then I have Captain and Cooper midday. And then after Captain and Cooper, I have Melon. And it's always like back to back. Melon's usually at like 1:30. And then I also have Vito. Vito's like the tiniest little chihuahua ever. He's the cutest thing. You probably have seen him on my Instagram. Everyone's constantly talking about him. Yeah, so after Vito, that's pretty much like my midday clients. But again, like for overnight jobs and, drop-ins and with people being away, that day might be completely different. Like I might not be able to hit the gym in the morning because I'm sleeping over some other client's home and making sure that I'm getting that dog's morning walk in. And then after Vito, I would go back to that other dog that I was with in the morning. So it's kind of, I'm just all over the place.
Yeah.
Sounds like it.
Literally. And do you ever take in pets to your house?
I do not.
Okay.
No, my cat wouldn't like that.
Gotcha.
Okay.
She's a princess. She's like, this is my fortress. Don't mess with it. Don't bring any animals in. Like, this is my thing. So, yeah, gotcha. I only go into everyone else's home just because I think it's super important to, how we were talking about change and, not kind of changing their environment up because that can induce anxiety. I think it's really important to keep the dog in their home, keep the dog in their routine, and make sure that they're comfortable and happy and nothing's too off for them so that, nothing is off for their parents when they come back.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I feel like I've used throughout, I think we've had our dog he's a Bernedoodle for 6 years. And I've never had a consistent person, go-to person and stuff like that. I've used all the apps and everything like that. And I feel like it's hard to find somebody on those apps and they're in and they're out of the business or they're not available. They're just move on to the next person.
Exactly.
There's no built relationship.
Right. I always say we're your pet's built-in best friend. So.
That is a good point though, because I feel like with the apps it is very in and out. That is probably something really great about your service where it's the consistent, your pet actually grows a relationship with you. That's a really good point.
Especially if they need anything beyond just the basic walk.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, all my dogs, they know me, they love me. I am actually close with Captain and Cooper's mom. I was at her birthday party, and of all the 30 people that were there, Captain was by my side the whole entire time. And everyone in the room was like, what's going on? Your dog is obsessed with her. I'm like, well, I spend a lot of time with him. I give him his favorite walk of the day. We go and I off leash him and we have a great time. So he remembers me. He knows me. He smells me and he's like, okay, where are we going? What's going on?
True.
So
you bring the fun.
Yeah. Exactly.
And you speak dog.
I do.
Yeah,
I definitely do. Yeah, they see me and they know what's up.
How do you kind of cater and personalize your service to, the personality of the dog? Because I feel like a lot of dogs are different. They have a lot more energy than others. How do you kind of balance all that?
Yeah, it's about getting to know each dog individually, getting to know their quirks, getting to know their ways, getting to know what their schedule is what they're used to. Do they eat before they go out for a walk or do they walk and then they eat? Are they used to chugging water? Do you need to limit how much water you're giving them? I think it's really about spending the time with each animal and really getting to know their ways, their routines, the whole nine, just getting to know them as best as possible so that I can make sure that I'm really building a relationship according to their pace and the way that they work and, because every dog is different.
Totally.
Yeah.
Are you open to working with other animals, exotic animals or anything like that?
Yeah. So my cousin actually, she works for the Philadelphia Zoo in the reptile department. So she is the reptile lady. She goes, she gets paid to travel to different places so that she can do research on endangered species. So it's super cool. She's all in that space. So for me, I would be open to it. It really depends. Like I said, tarantulas are a hard pass for me. But
Fair
other than that, I would be pretty open to different animals.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm sure people have some exotic animals out there in Westchester.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure.
You'd be surprised. I mean, I'm on this chicken job right now. And they're just fascinating. I'm learning so much about them. I've watched like a couple different clients' chickens, but these ones I've like spent a lot of time with them, and I'm learning so much about their ways, about how they work, about different things that they do that are like regulating their body and like their feathers and cleaning themselves and just like all these things. One of them is actually sick right now. The client let me know beforehand that they're sick and they might pass. So I know that's another piece of this puzzle is like I build these relationships with these animals and eventually everyone has a lifespan. And that part really sucks. And it's really hard because, you know, it's like they're like my child and, you know, whatever they're going through, like I'm also like a part-time parent to them going through this with them as well. You know, I'm used to administering a lot of medication and, you know, just trying to like help them at the end of their life as well. I actually did just have one of my dogs pass recently, and that was pretty hard. And, you know, being there for the parent was difficult, but, you know, I wanted to be by her side and by his side for as much of it as I could just to be supportive. So my services, you know, you think it's just like pretty straightforward. You go and walk dogs. No, I'm a part of people's families. So
yeah, and you're going into their houses,
yeah.
You're staying in their houses.
Yep.
Yeah, it gets pretty personal.
Very, very personal. Yes.
Yeah. So I guess moving like into the future, what's coming next? What do you have in store? Any plans, any goals?
Yeah. I mean, there's always goals, right? There's always like something that we want to reach toward. So I would love to expand. I would love to hire more people. I would love to, you know, scale it, grow it, build upon it. I want to walk every dog that there possibly is in Westchester. So as many clients as I can get while also maintaining our structure, our professional, like the professional side of it, the reliable side of it. Like I don't want it to get too big to where it's out of hand and we're not sticking to our core values. Like I want to grow it to a point where it's manageable and we're making sure that we're catering to every single client the way that, you know, the original basis of this small business is as of right now.
For sure. And I guess if there's anybody who would want to use your services or interested in that, or two, maybe just have questions for you, maybe they want to do something similar to this, where can we find you?
Oh, so Audrey's Pet Services, Westchester, or it's just WC for Westchester on Instagram. And yeah, other than that, I'm on Nextdoor. But that's pretty much it. I am working on building a website right now.
Nice.
So, you know, slowly but surely, we are still in startup phases, but, you know, I would like to get it to a point where there's a couple different touch points and stuff like that. But right now, Instagram is the primary source. Other than that, yeah.
Sweet. That's exciting. The website stuff sounds really cool.
Yeah. Slowly but surely, I think that'll streamline some of like the initial questions of like I would like a forum to have all the questions instead of having to go through it in person so that I kind of know what I'm getting into on the meet and greet. Just because there's so many fine-tuned things, and also kind of like keeping everyone's information digitally would be super helpful.
Yeah.
You know, like their vet information and, you know, addresses and just kind of like any quirks or things that we need to look out for each of the individual animals. I think having everything in a digital format would be really great.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Is there anything else other than that you'd like to add to the business?
That I would like to add to the business.
In the future?
I don't know. I think there's always expansion in a sense. Like everyone's always asking, do you do grooming? Do you do nail cutting? Do you do anything of that nature? So it would be fantastic to work with a groomer or like, you know, someone who does that stuff so that I can have them at the ready should any of my clients need that service. So that's like, you know, kind of like a two piece thing that would be really helpful to implement. That, and, you know, people are always like, well, what if you opened up like a boarding facility? And there's a lot of rules and regulations when it comes to that. So I like to keep, again, pets in their own homes so that everything can stay consistent for them. So I'm not sure if I'm going to move into that area, but as of right now, it would be good to just like collaborate with as many people as possible just to kind of expand.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
And are your clients asking you for those services or?
Not a whole lot. I get, things here and there, but for the most part, everyone just needs me to take care of their pets when they're not around. I mean,
Sure.
that's crucial enough. So,
Super
other than
important.
that, yeah, we don't get a whole lot of asks for that stuff, but I know that it would be utilized should I, expand into that area.
Totally.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, right on.
Thanks.
Sweet,
for
thanks.
coming
Cool.
by.
Yeah,
Of
this
course.
was great. Thank you so
thanks
much.
for having
I'm
me.
excited
This
to
has
see
been
where
awesome.
the business goes to.
Thank you. Yeah, me too. I mean,
See some of
who
the dogs
knows?
on Instagram.
Yeah, I might have to give you a call.
I know. I was gonna say you guys both have
Yeah.
dogs, so if you need help, let me know.
Sure.
Of course. Oh, that's
Awesome. Thanks again for coming on. This was great.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks,
Thanks.
guys.
Sweet.